What's up, you guys? It's Matt here. So it was an interesting day for AMC. As you can see up on the screen, it just didn't really finish well, didn't perform well after, a certain time period. But it went kind of as I predicted a little bit. I didn't really say where it was going to end at in my predictions, but it kind of went, where I really predicted in the beginning of the day. So we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about AMC's price action, maybe some predictions as we go into the rest of the week. Also, maybe some other information, Ortex data, Fintel data, all of that stuff. But guys, if you hear some banging upstairs, I got children that are just making noise, but we're going to have to bypass that. Anyways, make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell for more videos like this one. Also, check out some of the links in the description. It does help out the channel. But let's go ahead and dive into a lot of this data. What actually happened today? What was the movement? And what are we looking at as a whole? But look at this. So in the pre-market, this is where I usually stream. I started to stream at 7 o'clock today. It was kind of flat throughout the whole pre-market. Really only 200 or 300,000 shares worth of volume was trading back and forth. We decided that we were going to talk a lot about crypto. We did focus on AMC and GME, but it wasn't something that was really moving as much and was kind of boring with the movement. However, we know where we are with the overall squeeze and we're just holding. This is a time period where we are going to just hold. So as we went through the day, I gave my prediction saying that we would see this dip a little bit to low 37s, if not high 36s. And that's basically where it got to over here. And I said it would resist around 39 and it resisted at 38.48. So that's not that far away from 39. It did touch those points multiple times and then started to fall. But actually, after it did fall back down, that wasn't the absolute low. The low ended up going to 35, actually 35 flat. It didn't break 35, but going to 35.01 was pretty bad. It did have a little bit of a recovery at that point towards the end of the day, but it really just had a downhill movement. After consolidating a little bit here, finding more room to move down, it was a little bit ridiculous. We understand that this is being shorted. This is not something where people are selling the position. You might have institutions that might be selling some of their position if they wanted to, but I know retail traders, a lot of retail traders are not selling. But when it comes to day traders, swing traders, institutions, you could see something completely different. Now in the after hours market, we are sort of flat. We did have a little bit of an increase up to about 35.40-ish. And then we kind of flattened out after decreasing a little bit down to 35.21 or so, and seeing those touch points over and over again. So we've seen about 58 million shares worth of volume. The previous close was 37. We're down about 5% when we closed, closing at 4.92%. All in all, it was a day that people look at Mondays and say that they could be pretty bad. We've seen kind of good Mondays, bad Mondays. It's kind of like 60-40, right? We see 60% that's actually a good day, 40% that's a bad day. This is one of those 40%. We've seen a lot of days or a lot of Mondays where they actually have been a pretty decent decrease day or a pretty decent increase day. I was looking at this in the beginning of the morning, trying to be as optimistic as possible, trying to push as much positive information out there, saying we were going to get to higher and higher numbers, seeing 10 to 20% gain. But then as I got towards the end of the day or end of the pre-market, I had to, basically make my predictions a little bit more realistic. But that's where we stand right now. Is this a bad day? Obviously, it's not good, anything that's negative, but is it insanely bad? No, because we understand what the play is. We're still in this play. So let's go ahead and look at some of this data. We're going to look at some of the Fintel data, some of the Ortex data. The Ortex data, we're seeing a short interest change of let's actually update that. I think that might change. There we go. Negative 5.66%. So they obviously returned a lot more than they borrowed. They're showing us a picture that doesn't really line up with what the stock price was doing. If they returned 5.89 million shares without shorting the position, you're telling me that stock price would decrease. Is that what you're telling me? That makes no sense whatsoever. They returned 5.89 million shares, then it should have increased quite a bit out of them just returning. But what we have is naked shorts. We have a lot of naked shorts. We have a lot of illegal things that the hedge funds are doing to put in place so that it's not going to be a great situation for AMC. but we can look at 14% short interest of free float. We look at 72.82 million shares out there. It was at 77 earlier today. We have 98.45 million shares on loan, and the utilization is at 91.17. So all in all, right, we look at this and this doesn't really line up with what we're seeing here. And it definitely doesn't line up with what we would see in Fintel. Now, Fintel is only going to give me the information from Friday because it doesn't have up-to-date information as of today. But when we look at 7:30, right, we had 11.8 million shares that were shorted in just FINRA alone, also including CBOE data, which I don't have access to because it's just, this doesn't really line up the right way. So I didn't want to have to do that. But we can look at it and say that they shorted 40%. And that's probably something that's going to line up to the overall picture is somewhere around 30 to 40%. I like to keep that range because there's no way I'm paying that much money for inaccurate data or data that's not 100% there, I guess. It's not inaccurate data, but the data that is reported could possibly not be accurate, but then could also, it doesn't include everything. So I'm looking at the total volume, and the CBOE volume plus the FINRA volume is not adding together to our total volume based on a lot of the exchanges that we see. So I'm not going to pay for that, but that's just my issue. But basically saying 30 to 40%, if they're shorting that much, it doesn't make sense why, you know, we would see anything increase if they are shorting it that much. But from what they're showing is they're not borrowing more shares. So this is not necessarily, this doesn't mean shorts. This means borrowed. So they're borrowing it in order to short or do something else with it. But they've already borrowed everything that they wanted to borrow. So now they're shorting the heck out of this thing and then returning some of those shares that they shorted previously. Is that showing us a positive move? No, because they may have returned 6 million, but they also borrowed, they probably, or not borrowed, they also shorted probably 20 million or 30 million. We'll see once we get into tomorrow's numbers. But that's what I'm looking at here. I mean, it's not a bad day. It's an overall okay day. I understand we were down about 5% today, but we know what the play is. I know what the play is. You know what the play is. We're holding on to this. I'm still holding my 900 shares. And it's going to be something I look to push until it starts to hit targets that I'm getting to. So anyways, let me know your opinion on this. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. I understand there's a lot of people out there that are concerned with the amount of, you know, YouTubers that are not covering it as much. I will cover it every single day that I can. And if there's any information, if there's no information, I'll do the bare minimum just to give you guys some form of information or that positive video out there, just so that, you know, it keeps people aware that, especially my subscribers, anybody that is, you know, in it for the long haul here, or I guess, you know, hoping for a short-term gain, but in it for the long haul. Guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. There's a lot of people that say they don't get notified. If you are a person that is subscribed and you're not, you don't have the notification selected, make sure you hit that notification bell and select all so that you always get notified. But guys, that's it. I'm going to get out of here and I will catch you guys in the next video.